The tragedy of Hamlet, Prince of Denmark, is a tragedy by William Shakespeare. It was written sometime in the early 1600s and set in the Kingdom of Denmark. Hamlet is Shakespeare's longest play, and among the most powerful and influential tragedies in the English language. The play was one of Shakespeare's most popular works during his life and still ranks among his most performed. The play takes place in Elsinore, Denmark, at Kronborg Castle. Shakespeare based this setting on an actual castle in eastern Denmark. The castle still stands to this day and is a popular tourist destination. The play Hamlet has been performed a number of times in its courtyard. As the play begins, we quickly learn that there is tension between Denmark and Norway because King Hamlet of Denmark had slain King Fortinbras of Norway in combat and reclaimed land for Denmark. Therefore, everyone in Denmark fears that Prince Fortinbras is massing an army to win back the land that King Hamlet had taken. This tension will continue to be one of the play's most important subplots. Prince Fortinbras is one of the foils for Prince Hamlet. In fiction, a foil is a character who contrasts with another character, usually the protagonist, in order to highlight particular qualities of the other character. In some cases, a subplot can be used as a foil to the main plot. In this case, Fortinbras' impending attack is the foil to the main plot of Hamlet trying to exact revenge on his uncle. As the play begins, there are 3 castle guards discussing how they have seen a ghost who looked exactly like the dead King Hamlet, and they wonder if he will come again that night. A few of the guards who have not seen the ghost are skeptical, but just as they are having this debate, the ghost appears, and they try to talk to it. However, the ghost refuses to talk to them and disappears again. Horatio decides that he will tell the king's son, Prince Hamlet, about the ghost. Prince Hamlet is a college student who has come home from school in Germany for his father, King Hamlet's funeral. He is a very depressed young man. He loved his father very much and is very distraught over the fact that his mother, the queen, has just married his father's brother Claudius. The ghost appears to Hamlet and tells him that he is in purgatory and was murdered by his brother Claudius. Hamlet decides he must avenge his father's death by killing his uncle. Queen Gertrude is Prince Hamlet's mother, King Hamlet's widow, and King Claudius's new wife. According to Hamlet, she scarcely mourned her husband's death before marrying Claudius. Critics of the play are split about whether Gertrude is a loving mother who was oblivious to the corruption in Denmark, or that she was actually involved in the murder of the king. King Claudius is the brother to King Hamlet, second husband to Gertrude, and uncle to Prince Hamlet. He obtained the throne of Denmark by murdering his own brother with poison and then marrying the late king's widow. Claudius is seen at the beginning of the play to be a capable monarch, as he deals diplomatically with such issues as the military threat from Norway and Hamlet's depression. During the play's progression, he takes a turn for the worse by first resorting to spying, and when that fails, murder. Polonius is King Claudius's chief counselor, and the father of Ophelia and Laertes. Polonius connives with Claudius to spy on Hamlet. Hamlet later accidentally murders Polonius, thinking it was Claudius, which ends up provoking Ophelia's fit of madness and death, and the climax of the play, a duel between Laertes and Hamlet. Ophelia is a young noblewoman of Denmark. She is one of the few female characters in the play. Her father and brother warn her to stay away from Hamlet because Hamlet is not free to marry who he wants and is just using her. They are afraid her reputation will be ruined if she runs around with Hamlet. She truly loves Hamlet, but because of his harsh treatment of her, she goes crazy and commits suicide by drowning. Laertes is the son of Polonius and the brother of Ophelia. He is a college student like Hamlet, and the two of them grow up together. Laertes is home from college in France for the wedding of King Claudius and Queen Gertrude. In the final scene, he kills Hamlet with a poisoned sword to avenge the deaths of his father and sister, for which he blamed Hamlet. While dying of the same poison, he implicates King Claudius. Because Hamlet is a play, it is important to be familiar with the stage directions. Stage directions tell you where everybody in the play is. These are very important in the play Hamlet, because oftentimes there are characters in a scene that are hiding. The stage directions allow the audience to know where all of the characters are, even if not all the characters in the scene know it. A soliloquy is when a character speaks his thoughts out loud for the audience to hear. The lines can be directed either to the audience, or more often the character is just speaking to himself. Typically, the actor will move downstage to deliver it. One of the most famous soliloquies of all time is Hamlet's speech, To Be or Not to Be. A monologue is a speech presented by a single character, most often to express their thoughts aloud. though sometimes also to directly address another character or the audience. Monologues are common across the range of dramatic media, as well as in non-dramatic media such as poetry. Monologues share much in common with soliloquies, apostrophes, and asides. Typically, monologues are much more dramatic than soliloquies. Hamlet is notable for the way it weaves together 3 revenge plots, all of which involve sons seeking vengeance for their father's murders. The play concludes with a bloodbath that's typical of revenge tragedy, but Hamlet's infamous delays set it apart from anything that comes before it. Family is a significant theme in Hamlet. The play is notorious for the way it dwells on the issue of incest. It's also important to note how the play is particularly concerned with the way politics impact the dynamics of family relationships, especially when domestic harmony is sacrificed for political gain. Also of importance is the fact that Hamlet involves 3 revenge plots that all hinge on sons avenging the deaths of their fathers. Hamlet's attitude towards women is notoriously sexist. Yet the play does not share Hamlet's furious dismissal of women. Hamlet's mother's final guilt is left ambiguous, and his lover ultimately inspires pity. Hamlet's attitude towards women reveals something about him, more than it reveals women's true nature. Madness, both real and feigned, is at the heart of the play. Hamlet's antic disposition has famously sparked a scholarly debate. Does Hamlet truly go mad, or is it all an act? Ophelia's clear descent into madness is something of a different issue. Critics tend to agree that Ophelia seemingly cracks under the strain of Hamlet's abuse. Hamlet is not necessarily a play about religion, but it does register many of the effects of the Protestant Reformation and Christian ideas about mortality and the afterlife. It also weaves together Christian attitudes towards murder, suicide, and revenge. Death threads its way through the entirety of Hamlet, from the opening scene's confrontation with the dead man's ghost to the bloodbath of the final scene, which leaves almost every main character dead. Hamlet constantly contemplates death from many angles. He is both seduced and repelled by the idea of suicide. Hamlet can be viewed as extended dialogue between